Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy, and welcome back to the Mixer, and today's video is something that I'm gonna definitely have a lot of fun doing, I'm gonna really like talking about and editing, and finally uploading it for the world to see. Something that I really love, that stems from a country that I really would like to visit, which is Japan, and as the title of the video already suggests, I'm gonna be doing a small little deep dive, a small deep dive might have been a little paradoxical. I'm gonna do just a regular dive, into Japanese culture, and talk a little bit about it and what I admire, what attracts me to this country the most, why I would love to visit it when I get the opportunity, I'm gonna try to put something together for you guys, and I have done one video a long time ago talking about the possibility of moving to Japan, but I didn't really get into too much detail as I'm gonna get here, But before that, a few geographical tidbits of info about Japan itself, in case you guys don't know, and it's located in East Asia, and it's actually part of the Ring of Fire, and it spans an archipelago of 6,852 freaking islands, which is really impressive, and it covers 377,975 square kilometers, or 145,937 square miles, and there are 5 main islands, on the continent, which is Hokkaido, okay, sorry if I butchered that, Honshu, Shikoku, Kyushu, and Okinawa, I'm trying to say it slowly so I can actually have time to put them here, the little text here on screen. And it is also, Tokyo is of course the capital and the largest city, and other major cities include Yokohama, Osaka, Nagaya, Sapporo, Fukuoka, Kobe, and Kyoto, and I would visit all of them if I could, I have like a dream to visit Japan. I think it would just be amazing. And there is right now, from the current 2021 estimate, the population there is currently 125,360,000 people, more or less, give or take maybe a couple hundred or so, So a lot of people for a very small, surface area, and it seems like there is a total of GPD, or gross domestic product, I believe that's what it is, estimated this year. Japan has the 4th highest in the world, which is $5.586 trillion, which is a lot of freaking money, and also a few other things here as well, and aside from that, Japan has a very interesting climate, I think that they have kind of like a mixture of summer and winter, There are a few places that I really would like to visit in Japan, I would love to see them, and there are many reasons why I want to visit. I don't know if I could ever establish a home there, but I would definitely love to go, And it's actually interesting because it has one of the highest economies in the world, Seems like it's the 2nd largest by the world in 1990, but now today, apparently their economy is the 3rd largest by nominal GPD, and the 4th largest by PPP, forgot what that means. And they are a leader in automotive and electronics industries, they have made a lot of contributions to science and technology. They are ranked really high. Okay, let me just skip this, they have very high life expectancies. However, they have been experiencing a decline in population over the years, and the culture is really well known, because of the art, cuisine, music, popular culture, which has a lot of prominent features in comics, animation, video games, all those industries. And I'm going to be trying to sprinkle throughout the video here different photos and maybe videos of stuff, in Japan, that I think would be really cool. And I'm gonna start doing that now so I can transition into the next part. Now, I started to become more attracted to Japanese culture back in 2018, and I did go through an embarrassing phase of my personal life there because I was suffering from crippling yellow fever, which, in case you guys don't know, is a strong attraction to Asian women, and I did give a few Asian girls here in my community a headache, I probably hit on every single one of them. It was crazy, I was like shooting in every direction, I did go on a date with a Japanese girl, and it was just, okay, but aside from that, I did record a series of vlogs talking about this, the fever was really strong, and when it actually broke, man, I was going crazy. My hormones were all over the place for Asian girls, and I mean, they are very sexualized, you know, in the entertainment in Japan, you know, and a lot of things about Japan really speak to me on personal levels, you know. I do personally like the history a lot. I actually run a currently inactive Twitter profile called Oriental Matters, which you guys can check out later, you know, where I would talk, it's not just Japan, but I talk about Asian countries in general, cultures, entertainment, arts, you know, music, a lot of different things, and I really enjoy keeping it up, you know, and tweeting about stuff and retweeting on my own personal profile, you know. I always really like putting research into that, and I'm actually really excited to try to turn some of the things that I tweeted about into videos here on YouTube, you know. And the Japan itself, I started to get really more into it after watching the Japanese reality TV show called Terrace House, you know, which is essentially reality television where they take young people in Japan and put them in a house and see if they're going to romance, and it's a really good opportunity to see more of the country itself, the cuisines, the traditions, the customs, how people talk to each other, you know. And being a very rich country with a really high economy, you know, and very strong ties in technology and entertainment, Japan has a little bit of something for everyone, you know. And I'm not really a big fan of anime, which I think is their biggest niche market, but I do like gaming, you know. I've been playing the Yakuza series of games, which have been a lot of fun as well. And I don't know, everything about the game speaks to me on a few different levels, you know. I really enjoy them a lot, and it's really hard to not like them, you know. It's really hard to not like the games that they put out, you know. And the movies and the TV shows, I mean, the movies can sometimes get a little cringy, you know, because Asian actors, you know, Japanese or otherwise, they act very fervently, you know. They're always very, they're always really just in your face, you know, all exaggerated overacting. But aside from that, you know, very nice market there for arts, you know. I do love their music, you know. One of my favorite singers, Asian or otherwise, is Utada Hikaru, you know, who is Japanese American and records most of her music in Japanese, you know. And I'll probably record a video talking about her. I did already in the past, but I want to remake it and get into a little bit more detail. And it seems like they have a very growing market in this industry, you know, and their music artists find a lot of success, you know, especially when they branch out to American audiences. So everything about Japan is very cute, you know. Everything is so advanced and technological, but at the same time, they almost have this this young, cute thing, you know, where they're always constantly in youth, because Japanese people, they really take care of themselves. They're very healthy, so it seems like they don't age, you know. Somebody in their 40s might look like they're in their 20s, you know. I have seen examples of this all over the place. And it seems like if you live in Japan and maintain a healthy lifestyle, I mean, everything is going to be okay for you, you know. But I do believe that their country is very against, not really against, but they just have a hard time with foreigners, you know. They have a really hard time welcoming them into their arms, although they do seem to like it when foreigners come in and try to observe their traditions, you know, their culture and how their customs work, you know. So it's very nice for you to be respectful when you go there and actually find out how they act, how they speak, you know, how they behave in a certain context, and that's actually going to help you just find more favor in their eyes, you know. Another thing that I really admire about Japan is the food. Yes, the culinary arts. Now, here's the thing. For a long time, I kind of like stayed away from sushi, raw food. I was never really a big fan of seafood to begin with, you know. But when I started getting more into the culture a few years ago, like I said, I also wanted to open up myself more to their cuisines, you know, and try to see what the big deal was with sushi. And I started to slowly try different foods, you know, before eventually building up to sushi. And I actually do like it. Obviously not all of it, you know. There are a few things that I'm still getting into, like I don't like raw squid, you know, or octopus or all those weird things that they eat, but I have tried raw tuna, I believe it was tuna, or salmon actually, sorry, it was salmon, you know. I tried California rolls with different dips, you know, but the Japanese food that I ate here, I live in a city called Mairinki in the interior of Sao Paulo that has a very strong Asian presence, you know. I do believe the city was founded by Japanese descendants, immigrants rather, who came from Japan here, and today there are many generations of them still living here. So every year before the COVID pandemic, they used to do these little Japanese dinners, you know, traditional yakisobas and temakis and all of sushi, you know, a lot of different traditional foods that they would make homemade, you know, and sell there. However, they have kind of like a little Brazilian taste taste to it, you know. They deep fry a lot of their foods, and some of it has it's not 100% traditional, you know. It's kind of like with a different spin on it. But I have been to restaurants that have had more traditional foods, you know, in a different sense, and I have tried a few different ones, and I do like it, you know. But of course, when I say that I like Japanese food, it's not all of it, you know. They do have meats as well. They do have other things that are much more common, you know, to the Western people. But I do like how they also have a lot of different sweets. You know, Japanese sweets are to die for, you know. It seems like everything that they make, you know, with sugar, it just tastes amazing, you know, whether it's juices or desserts, you know, candies and snacks. And I haven't tried any of their alcohol, even though they are very popular. I think it's called soji. I forgot what it's called, but they do have a very popular alcohol, which I don't drink. I only drink wine, and even then it's very rare, you know, it's only socially. But I do like their food, you know. I can't really say what my favorite is, but pretty much anything stuffed with meat, you know. And they do have a lot of vegetables. They are very healthy in that department, you know. I have tried a large variety of Japanese traditional foods, but not enough to say that I'm like the biggest fan in the world, you know. And it has to be prepared in a certain way. Even though I am starting to get into the rawness, you know, I usually only eat the raw fish when I have something to dip it in, you know, so I'm still getting into it, you know. But basically anything that's fried and crunchy I do enjoy a lot, and I'm starting to slowly get into the raw foods, you know. And not the biggest fan, but I do like it, you know, and I'm really curious to try more kinds of food, you know. I think that Japan has a very good market for this, you know, and that's why their food is one of the most popular aspects about their country, you know. Japanese food, or sushi mostly, is something that's really sold all over the world. Everybody, a lot of people like them, you know. It's not for everyone, you know. I understand that, you know. You're not really, you're not going to like it if you look at it and say, if you're not a fan of seafood in general, then I would probably stay away from it. So yeah, but honestly, man, it's really hard to not love everything about it, you know. And there are a few things that I personally try to stay away from, but my favorite, I could probably say, is the yakisoba, which is essentially just soup. Not soup, sorry. It's like, how can I say? It's not exactly soup, but it's like noodles, you know. It's kind of like noodles with soup, you know. And you can add a little bit of meat and vegetables, you know, and other kinds of things like that, you know. So I don't know. To me, it's like you can like it even if you're not a fan of Japanese food, because I think a lot of cultures in the world consume noodles to a certain degree, you know. And a little bit of yakisoba, man, you heat that up and it's nice and hot, you know, on a cold evening, you know. It's just amazing. I also like tea, you know. Japanese, they do make some really amazing tea, you know. Green tea, I forgot what it was called. I think ocha, I think, is green tea in Japanese, you know. And I was taking Japanese lessons some time ago. I unfortunately temporarily abandoned them, but I will go back. But I'm pretty sure ocha was green tea. And yeah, pretty much everything about the culinary arts, you know, is just really cool, you know. I really like experiencing them, and different foods and drinks. And when I ever go to Japan, because I do intend on visiting, you know, I definitely wouldn't starve. I'm very open-minded when it comes to food, you know, so I would like to try even more things that that probably hadn't had in the past, you know. So that's going to be a lot of fun too. In this part of the video here, would be interesting to hear from you guys if you like Japanese food or not, if you've ever tried it or you want to or don't want to. So leave a comment below telling me if you would ever try raw fish. Even though that's not all that Japanese food is about, but it is like the mainstay, so yeah. Another thing that really draws me to Japan, and this one should be obvious, you know, because I am a photographer. Although I haven't been practicing it for a while, I still do love to take photos and post them, you know, when I can. So I would love to see the places there, you know. Every single district has something to photograph, and I'm the kind of person who thinks that every photo tells a story, you know. And I think that Japan has a lot of different places with literal stories there, you know, that you can explore through photography, because they have like a very nice mixture of old and modern, you know. You can go to a place like Okinawa and still see very traditional, you know, villages, you know, where people still live very humbly, you know, off of the soil, and that's where they live really long actually, because they're much healthier, you know, they have very high life expectancies. And also go to Tokyo and see something more modern and high tech and digital, you know. So each place tells a story. I would love to go to a lot of different places, although there are some that I would stay away from, like Okigahara Forest, you know. I'm probably going to do another video just about that later. Japan has some really scary urban legends too, but aside from that, I really would love to go to places like Tokyo, you know, just explore the city, maybe go to Haikido, you know, and see some other places there. There are a lot of really cool traditional temples to see, as well as modern high-rise buildings, you know. The place that I most want to visit, probably not necessarily go to, because it might be a little dangerous, you know, and I'm getting too old for hiking, you know. I probably wouldn't literally go to Mount Fuji, but I would love to photograph it, you know, go as close as possible, because in case you guys don't know, Okigahara Forest, called the Suicide Forest, right? It's on the base of Mount Fuji, and I would probably stay the hell away from that forest if I could. Would not go near it, you know, try to stay as far away as humanly possible. And I think that going to places like this would really be cool for me, and photographing little traditional shops and their little beaches, you know. Japan has a little bit of everything, you know, the mountains, and there are those really cool traditional structures, you know, from back in the day that would be really cool to take photos under, you know, and a lot of amazing forests. So it really does have a little bit of everything if you're an exploration buzz like me, you know. Buzz? What the hell is a buzz? Let's call it buff, an exploration buff, a travel rat like me, you know, and I would love to go there and see different places and photograph as much as I could, record vlogs for my YouTube channel, obviously, that would be a must do as well. And I don't know, man, it's really cool. And Japan has a few scary urban legends as well. Their movies and books, their literature, their entertainment, like their cinema, reflects a lot of this. They have, I do believe, the scariest urban legends in the world, you know, and some of their movies, their horror movies are very popular and were remade by American studios, but you can never capture the magic of the original, you know, like The Ring, you know, The Grudge. I do believe it's called Oniru. Oniru is a vengeful spirit. Well, I don't know, it's called something, you know, and the original movies were really scary. Japan is not really, they don't really pull any punches when it comes to gore and blood, you know, so the originals were really visceral. Japan is also where Godzilla comes from, you know, they've had so many movies there. Japan popularized the kaiju genre, you know, the giant monsters, you know, and all of that stuff. So I just think it's really cool, you know, their entertainment is just amazing, and I would love to experience more of it, you know, up close. But you know, going there, seeing places, you know, and maybe going to museums or places that are associated with cinema, and I don't know, I just think it's really nice, you know. I think it would be really cool to experience all of this, you know. If I stay in Japan for a month, it probably still wouldn't be enough to see everything that I wanted to, but I could definitely take in a lot, you know. And it would just be really nice. The scary side, their urban legends, you know, places like the Suicide Forest and other haunted areas, you know, I probably would stay away from. But it does have its downsides, you know, it does have its downsides. Japanese mythology interests me so much, you know, they have a very vast history, which is really cool. If you ever take the time to research it, you know, like I do for that Twitter profile that I mentioned earlier in the video, you know, you can see that there are many different portals, you know, there are so many different places that you can go to, you know, and I ended up going on rabbit holes so many times, you know, researching different things just because I like it, you know. I think it's really interesting, and even if you're not the biggest fan, you know, you're not obsessed with Japanese culture, I think you can still find something that would interest you, you know. So in my honest opinion, you know, Japan, you know, the country and the language, you know, they kind of have something for everyone, you know, and definitely would have a lot for me, you know. Japan would offer me a lot, you know, and there is sort of like an elephant in the room that I'm going to get to in a little bit, you know, involving the people, but yeah, man. What else was I gonna say? There are a few other places that I would like to visit as well. There are a lot of pagodas that I would like to see, you know, those traditional style houses, you know, which apparently are very peaceful to stay in, you know. And I don't know, man. I'm so curious about Japan. I am so curious, you know. I know that I will never be Japanese. I have zero descendancy, zero blood. I would never be a citizen, but going there and experiencing their culture and sort of like doing what they do, living as they do, you know, in their regular day-to-day lives, I think would be really cool. And of course, would be nice to respect them as well and their culture. Alrighty then, let's address the elephant in the room, shall we say, huh? The girls, Asian women. Do I still suffer from yellow fever? Not as heavily as I did a couple of years ago, but if I go to Japan in any capacity, I will, of course, would try to at least ask out and date a local woman, you know, because I think it would be, hear me out, okay, hear me out. I think it would be nice for you to try to get to know somebody there so you can see how dating is in that country, you know? And I do still really like Asian women, you know, especially the Japanese and South Koreans, you know? And but the South Korean girls is mostly because of my love for K-pop, you know, so it does kind of, it's more attracted there, you know, in that sense there. And I think that it would be really nice, you know. I do have a few connections in Japan. I do know a few women who live there, you know. Some are Japanese, some are Brazilian with Japanese descendancy, you know, others aren't even Asian, but they live there. So if I go there, I will have a few, like, let's just say I will have a few pathways to follow, you know. I might be able to have somebody set me up with someone, you know, but don't think of it as like I'm going there just for the girls. No, I mean, I like Asian girls, yeah, but is that such a bad thing, you know? I think that people see attraction to Asian girls as bad, but if it's an attraction, it's positive, right? So wouldn't you see this as a compliment, you know? I mean, if somebody was attracted to me just because I'm Brazilian, I mean, it would be weird because Brazilians aren't really attractive, you know? Sorry to throw shade at my own people, but I just don't see how that would be, because we don't really look Brazilian, you know. Brazilians are everything, you know. We look Asian, we look European, we look African, you know. There's really like no set pattern to us, but whatever. I would still consider it a compliment, you know, but so it would be nice to go there and try to see how the women are and how you ask them out, how you approach them, you know, how you go on dates, how you treat them, you know, because this is really good for you to know when you're visiting a country. So why not try to date somebody there locally, you know? So it would be nice. In the past, I joked a lot about this. If I ever go to Japan, I would be really indecisive about who to go out with because I would be surrounded by Asian girls. But today I'm much calmer. You know, if I go there, you know, I would just let something happen naturally, you know. But my biggest attraction is really just to go to the country and see what it looks like, you know. And I watch so many movies and shows and read about stuff online, you know, and play games, but it's different when you actually go there, when you actually go to the place and see what it's like, you know. It's a whole different experience, and I would love to have it one day, you know. And there's actually this acquaintance of mine, let's call her that because we haven't talked in a while. Her name is Ellie, and she is Brazilian and Japanese, and she lives there now. She has a YouTube channel where she's a photographer, and she does vlogs about the places where she visits, you know. So small little shout out to my girl Ellie here, you know. You guys can go check her out later and follow her on Instagram, you know. There are links to it in her channel. So she takes photos, you know. She does a lot of portraits of people there, and yeah, it's really cool to, and I love her Instagram, her stories, because it shows how it is. She shares information about what it's like to live in Japan and make money there, you know, when you're starting off struggling with something. So yeah, just wanted to give a little shout out to her here. And yeah, man, I don't really think there's much else I can say, you know. I've covered the basics about what I like about Japan, the reasons why I would most like to visit, you know, so I think that's pretty much it. I already like the music, the food, the entertainment, the women, you know, the history, you know, the customs, everything about them. So there's really no reason why I wouldn't love to visit, you know, why I wouldn't like fit in, you know, even though I don't look Japanese at all. I just think it would be nice to visit Japan, you know, in a broad sense, you know, it would be really awesome. And I feel like I'm prepared. I've spent all these years researching, you know, and putting a lot of hours of study into it and talking to people who have been there. So I honestly think if I visit there today, I'm going to be just fine. You know, I don't think I'm going to have any trouble, you know, checking the place out. And I'm trying to remember if there's anything else that I needed to say, but I don't really think so. You know, I've covered all of the details and hopefully inserted a few nice videos and photos here, you know, throughout the whole thing. So yeah, man, I guess that's it for now. I don't really know what else I can say. So I think I'm gonna wrap it up, you know, and I'm trying to remember if there was anything else, but no, I really don't think there is. So let me insert the last few photos or maybe a video or so here before I transition into the final stretch. Wait a minute now, there is something I didn't cover, the language. Okay, I'm gonna get into this now before I finish. Japanese is a language that I have been struggling to learn for the past few years, and I've been studying on and off, you know. Before I had a private teacher, then I tried to learn online, then I tried Duolingo, which is a really cool app for learning languages, which I might record a video about using in the near future. But I have tried a lot, but basic Japanese isn't really too hard, you know, once you figure out how the kanjis work, you know. You guys may have noticed that I have two paintings here on my wall, you know, with Japanese kanjis, you know. That one over there says welcome, the other one says balance, you know, and they are written in traditional Japanese. I have a tattoo on my chest of a Japanese kanji for love, so I really love their written language, you know, but it is hard to understand because at some points they actually write vertically from top to bottom, so it's really hard, and I have been trying to learn it, you know, just so I could communicate basically, you know, but there are 3 different damn alphabets, you know. I do believe it's hiragana, katakana, and kanji, I believe. I forgot what they were called, but they are pretty complicated, and of course mastering all of them, mastering just one takes years of discipline and studying, you know, and I would try to have the patience, but I just don't have the time anymore as much as I used to. So wow, nice car out there. So basically the way that I kind of look at Japanese is that it's not exactly necessary right now, but I would one day like to revisit it, you know, to try. When I finally go to Japan, I want to like learn how to communicate basically, you know, even if it's just a few sentences here and there, you know. I would think it would be nice to learn to communicate with the people there and understand what you're seeing, you know, but it's complicated. I will maybe record a video later. I wish that like there was like a pill that I could just swallow and automatically be fluent in Japanese, you know. If I could choose just one language to be fluent in, it would be Japanese. Korean wouldn't be so bad either because I do watch a lot of Korean dramas and I listen to a lot of K-pop, so probably be a little more useful. But anyway, guys, I think I really am gonna wrap this up here. Japanese, the language is really complicated, you know. But if you just study, you know, dedicate yourself, you can get there, you know, but maybe one day I will, but for now I'm okay. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this deep dive here into Japanese culture. It did get a little bit longer than I expected, you know, but I'm talking about Japan, so it's all good. And let me know in the comments below if you guys ever visited Japan and how was your experience there, if you liked it or if you didn't, and if you want to visit, you know, and tell me why you want to visit, if any of the things that I listed here are on your list as well, you know. And that's it, guys. And if you happen to like this video, please go ahead and give it a like, and also subscribe to my channel because I release videos every single day. Might as well hit the notification bell while you're at it, you know, so you can know exactly what time I upload, you know. Not sure what time now or how many videos a day, but there are daily uploads, so let's just go with that. That's it, guys. This is Chazzy signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Arigatou gozaimasu and sayonara. Roll the outro screen.